Alrighty guys, so today we're taking apart my broken, destroyed Kronos. As you can see, I ripped the plunger tube in half and the top prime off. So today we're going to replace the internals with this brand new Kronos. So first things first, as always, we have to disassemble our current Kronos. So gotta go around and unscrew all of our screws. I've been using this Kronos for a good part of a year, which in these environments is pretty long time under these conditions here at the war zone. So just gotta take off all these 3D printed add-ons. This blaster has been, almost there. There we go. So there's that. We'll take off from our old one, our top prime assist. Oops. Don't throw your tools on the ground. It's never a good thing. Okay. Our final 3D printed add-on part that's just friction tight. Now the plan is to keep the shell of this blaster and just swap out the internals and put a new spring in it. So that is hopefully what we'll end up doing. We will see what happens when we get it apart. Hopefully nothing too crazy has gone awry on the inside here, but we will find out. This blaster has been my sidearm for quite a long time, but this specific blaster I think probably the best part of 2 years, if I had to guess. I'm thinking back correctly. But it is the blue skin from Amazon with the black handle from a white Kronos, and then a couple, as you could tell earlier, that we took off, black 3D printed add-ons. And then my favorite part is the magnetic holster mounts that are on here. So that should be everything. And as we take it apart here, you can see the insides here, the old upgrade spring, which we will be replacing. Cleaning up the blaster a little bit, and then the piece that broke is the plunger tube. See, with the upgrade spring, the repetitive use wears down the plastic here and eventually will cause it all to snap right off. So hopefully we will be replacing that. So we will set this to the side now and bring in our new contender. This is the same blaster, just not broken. So we will be using the priming grip from this one because that also broke when we had our catastrophic failure. We have 2 screws on the sides here that we have to undo, one on each side. This is the only screw on this half of the blaster that are a little bit smaller than the rest of the screws in the blaster. And then of course we have our screws in the back here that we have to undo to finally get this priming handle off, which will give us access to these, which are dust plates just to keep everything clean-ish on the inside, and then our prime indicator and our unbroken plunger tube. That is what we're after right there. So we will undo the rest of the screws in here. As you can tell, just a little bit of a different geometry, but mostly the same for that top screw right there. We'll go around the blaster, unscrewing everything. Now the hope is to just use the same frame, which shouldn't be an issue. The frame doesn't break, the shell. I don't know why I keep saying frame, it's a shell. The shell of the blaster doesn't break, but it's just the internals. So that is all that we will be replacing today, is this piece, like I've said. So once we get this open, then we'll, oops. And there we go, the undamaged internals of this Kronos. So here's the stock spring from this Kronos. The plunger tube, which if we compare to our other plunger tube over here, is in much better condition, so we'll probably be taking this as well. We'll see what other pieces we're gonna scavenge. So, dirty, a little worn down on the hop up here. We have some ammunition in here because we managed to break this mid-battle. So we will also set these up here. Now, for this one, unbroken, very clean, crisp blaster. So we'll take that and drop it in. We have the barrel over here, the hop up. Look at that difference in wear and age. So, look at all that grime and grease and dust sitting around that O-ring. So, always a good idea just to check out everything on the inside of your blaster when you're taking it apart. We'll put a little bit of grease on the O-rings here and grease up all the parts that move and such. So, and then we'll be cutting a new length of K26 for this blaster. So, looks like right about there. If we line them up side by side. So, we'll take our handy dandy bolt cutters. And cut our new length. Set those all the way out of the way. So if we put these next to each other and compare them, they are going to be pretty much perfect. So we'll take our new plunger head and drop our spring on there. So, we have our new, here we will move this out of the way. We will take our old plunger tube and move that out of the way. Our old barrel, take that out of the way. Got our old broken priming grip here. Also, take that out of the way. Just clean up our workspace a little bit. This is the shell that we're not going to be using. Take a look at these. These are the catch for the back of the blaster. This one's from the new one, this one's from the old one. This one's just a little worn down, got a little bit of damage on the inside there on the right. Not sure if you can see that in there, but there's a little dink out of it, so we'll be using the one from the new blaster. This is the lever for our prime indicator in the back there. So we're gonna use one of them. It doesn't really matter which one. They are slightly different colors just from inconsistencies over at Nerf. So we'll stick with this one here. Throw that old one over there. And we should be just about ready to put our blaster back together. So we're gonna take our grease here. I use Super Lube. It's what I used when I first started, and so I just stuck with this one. This is my second bottle, and I've been modding blasters for a little bit of time now, and so we'll take our barrel out and just put a little bit around the O-ring there. And so, a little extra grease, never hurt anybody. So we'll put this barrel back in. We'll pop this apart here. Whoa! So we can re-grease this O-ring here. If you see in there, it's kind of popped out of place down there, and so we're gonna grab our screwdriver and just kind of maneuver it back into place. If we can, let's see. So we might not actually be using this one because it looks like that O-ring up there is not going to cooperate with us. It has been sitting in that position for too long. So if we take a look at this one here, this O-ring is tight all the way around, and so that's what we want with this. So we'll be using this. So we're gonna grab a paper towel just to clean up some of the dust around this, guys. That way we keep a clean internals. Alrighty, guys, back with our handy dandy paper towel. So we'll just take this and go over, get the dust off of here. I'm not sure if these come off without too much of a hassle, and so we're not going to try. Don't want to break them. Just give it a good wipe down. Get any gunk out of here. So, not too bad for how long this blaster's been in service, but just a little bit of gunk around from playing and being in use for so long. Take a little pat of grease. We'll throw a little bit on the inside of here. This is the part that touches that. Sorry guys, I'm sure you couldn't see that there. My bad. Well, make sure that we just give it all a nice grease. And so now this is ready to go back in here. So we will line everything up and throw it in there. Last but not least, we have our O-ring around here. And so we'll take again just a small amount and go around. This one, you can be a little bit more generous. You can use a little bit more than the rest. This is the main one. This is where you really want your seal to be good, because this is what's forcing all that air out. Clean off our hands a little bit there. All right, so one of the more popular ways of doing this is when you're putting these blasters back together is you prime the spring. So the best way to do that is to force it against the table. So as you see, we can't get this one to prime, which means that our spring is slightly too long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to pull that off of there. We're just gonna cut down about half a length off of our spring. So we'll grab our handy dandy bolt cutters. Just take it down by half a length. Get rid of our old plunger tube in the meantime and throw this back on there. So we'll go to count this again and see what happens. Still just a hair long. So we will take our bolt cutters again, go down just another little bit. Slap it back on there. And there we go. So see, but now we gotta be careful because this is like a loaded gun. This is a lot of energy stored up in there. So we'll do it one more time just to make sure. All right, so see, we have it in there. Since we accidentally took off a little bit of that grease that we put on there earlier when we were putting that on there, we'll grab a little bit again, just apply a generous amount on there. Just going around that seal on that O-ring. We'll then slide that over into there. Gotta be careful we don't forget about this though. This is our little prime indicator. I like to leave it in there just so I know that it gets tucked up into there and sits right behind this, in this little channel in the shell here. And so, all right, we are just about ready to screw our blaster back together. Gotta make sure that this is in here too. We will take our top shell and throw it on here. We'll press it all into place slightly, make sure everything lines up. Make sure everything back here is lining up too. Snap our jam door down there. We have a 3D printed jam door delete mod in there. Do that little thing. Then we just gotta go around and screw the blaster back. Put the cap of our grease back on there. Alrighty. So remember, back your screws out until you feel a slight click. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a point where it clicks, and that means that your threads are lined back up. And so to keep the longevity of your blaster, you want to do that to make sure that you're not cross-threading or accidentally drilling out the thread holes. So we'll just go around our blaster, tighten everything down. The one thing I did forget to do, which it's too late now, but I usually go in and tighten up the bolt on the back of these, because if you see this one here, it's a little loose. Not too big of a deal, doesn't quite matter, but just put my mind at ease. Alrighty. And that is everything on the outside of the blaster. We still have to put this back together though. And these down here, guys, are a little finicky. They don't always like to do as they're told, but they go in just like this, and then they will, when you prime the blaster, get pulled out, and when it closes, they'll go back in like this. And so we just gotta make sure that some people take them out. I leave mine in. I work in a dusty environment, as you can probably guess, and so we will line everything up back here. Sometimes this piece is a little finicky to get in when it's primed, and so you are okay to go ahead and fire the blaster that is all screwed back together. And that'll make it a little bit easier to put this back end back together. So we have this top one aligned. We will go ahead and put this in too. That is backwards, my good sir. There we go. They do pose a little bit of a challenge, as I did say earlier, to get in. Just a little finagling though, and they pop right into place. We'll throw the top back on over it. That should fit nicely right there. We'll do these back 2 screws first. Remember, back them out until you feel or hear it click, and then straight down. Straight down. We'll take our screw that goes in here. Back it out and then straight in. Even with these ones, these small little tiny ones. Makes it go in a whole lot easier. So, as you saw, it was pretty difficult to prime without that priming assist. And so, we will throw that back on as our first addition. Slides on over the Picatinny and is a little, not Picatinny, rival rail. It's a little difficult at first. So here we go, and then much easier. And so we'll then throw on our bottom one. This one just fits on friction, and so we only have to unscrew it a little bit. Pop it apart. We'll then take our hand guard, screw this one back in. These are self-tapping wood screws that I got from the hardware store. So we got 3 screws in here. The 4th one broke off a while ago, but that's okay. So we just line it up with the holes that are already there. And there we go, guys. That is our modded blaster. See y'all in the next one.